Hi guys, welcome back to another inspirational moment video. So if you have been following in my last video, I really started getting into the meat of being basically almost kicked out of my school as a 4.0 master's degree student. So in the last video, I had talked about and read some emails between me and another professor, and I read the SAC referral, like this is you're having a meeting, and I talked about the falsities of the complaint, which was essentially them lying, saying I got fired from my internship site, which I did not, stating that I was getting paid from my internship site, which I was not, and stating like all these ridiculous lies about how I was not only as a student, but a professional in the field. So in today's video, if you can't tell by the title, I am going to be reading my SAC referral response, and we'll see how much time we have, and kind of see, what are some other things that I'm going to get into. I might even find this recording from the SAC referral. Who knows? So let's just get right into it. So, in the last video, which I will make sure that I link to this one, I did go into reading what the SAC referral committee just sent me a basic letter, and it was just me kind of like on freak out, kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? You guys are trying to kick me out of the school, and me reaching out to one of the faculty members in the department that was trying to kick me out, asking like, hey, like I really need some assistance. I need some support. I can only advocate for myself, but so much because I've never been through this. I am an unproblematic student, and in all my years of education, I've never experienced anything like this to this level of a school just trying to kick me out. Meanwhile, I was in my last class in the last week of my entire program. So imagine spending about 6 figures and your school telling you, thanks for the money, but we don't want you in here anymore. Yeah, I definitely was about to sit down and let that foolery happen. So you guys are going to hear what my response is to the committee. And keep in mind, this is 11 pages. That was not double-spaced at all. And I'm just going to read you guys what my response is. And I'm going to also pull up what the artifacts were, because what they present are like what they call artifacts. And so basically I call it like my receipts, and theirs was like a page and really had a few emails, which a lot of the emails that they submitted, which were very few, actually left out parts and chains of the email, because in order for their narrative to be well received by the chair, like of the SAC referral committee, they had to redact a lot of my responses and interactions with the faculty, because they had to paint me in such a way that made it seem like I was the student that was just like over the top and out of control, which made no sense considering it was my last week of the program for 3.5 years and I've never had an issue. So why would a student start having an issue at that point? And even if I was a student having an issue, which I wasn't, as a program that's all about therapy, why didn't anybody stop and say, hey, we might be noticing a change in the student, which yeah, no, just racism from them, that let's, as professionals in the realm of mental health, why don't we stop and talk to the student as a person and be like, hey, what's going on in your life, or what do you want to share? We're just concerned. Nope. This school was like, we're just gonna try and get her kicked out. Not once did anybody from this school, before they took any action against me, ever reach out to me to talk to me as a human being. That's a problem. So let's get to what my response was to their fictitious lies. So I said, Dear SAC Referral Committee, I am writing this letter to provide clarification of and substantial proof negating false allegations against the defamatory and slanderous narrative that has been presented against me in order for a SAC hearing to be granted. Due process was never given to me prior to a complaint being filed and a meeting being scheduled the same date listed on the SAC referral letter, December 10th, 2019. That's right. They're notorious for backdating things like a lot of liars are. You'll learn if you're not in corporate America, they do that there too. So, just keep your receipts so that you can be like, nah, you tried it. This was the real date. As a student who does not have a problematic past in this school, my advisor and director of clinical training, Foster, which we know that I refer to her as Confedero, nor the professor of CM 619 Crowley, which we know I refer to as Cowardly, nor my administrative lead, TRW, reached out to me to speak to me on any occasion regarding any concerns they might be having. The SAC referral provides zero evidence that any faculty member listed above reached out to me at any time to seek clarification on the false and defamatory narrative that was being built around me as a student who has always been in good standing. Per the Chicago School Professional Comportment located in Artifact 1, why don't we just pull up Artifact 1? So what you're going to notice is as I read a lot of this stuff, it will say per artifact whatever. And then I will go and pull up the artifact that I have up on my computer and read what the artifact is so that you guys are not just hearing an artifact this and artifact that. And you're like, okay, but what is in that quote unquote artifact, or as I like to call them, my CVS receipts. And this was Artifact 1 that I highlighted from their own website about due process. It states a student will be alerted to concerns about professional comportment, professional performance, functioning, and development, and receive advisement, mediation, and support as deemed necessary and appropriate. If there is a question that the student's problem in the area of professional comportment cannot be resolved in a reasonable time period and or rises to the level of potential disciplinary action, the matter will be referred to the Student Affairs Committee. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to that. That means it's saying that the student needed to be alerted. The only alert my ass got was being referred, which goes against their due process in the school where it's like you need to first try and resolve with the student before it gets to this escalated manner. But when you're dealing with racist people, they just want to escalate all up on that ass. So back to my reading. So that was Artifact 1. And I said a student is to be alerted to concerns about professional comportment and receive advisement, mediation, and support as deemed necessary. I received none of that. It is only after a student has been provided the above accommodations or evaluations as shown, digression, or refusal for improvement, then a student shall be referred to the Student Affairs Committee, aka SAC. Due to the information my site supervisor provided me regarding the perceived unethical direction she was given from Cowardly, a formal complaint was filed and said professor prior to any awareness of a referral, which is still pending as of the date of this response. Now, mind you, remember in the last video, I told you guys I had filed a formal complaint against this professor because not only did she attack me in an email about saying my professionalism wasn't up to the standards in a supervision from a 7 to 8 minute conversation, if you even want to call it that. But she also, according to my site supervisor at the time, had told my site supervisor to go back into what they call my DISCA, which is basically like if you were at work, like your review, like your 6-month review or whatever, and told her to go back and change things that she had put as positives. And because they were in cahoots together and they didn't know at the time, and to basically reevaluate me on the side of lowering my high scores on my professionalism and my development as a student in this field. So just keep that in mind as we go. I would like to formally introduce myself to the committee members who will be overseeing my hearing, as I'm not familiar with the members who will be present on January 9th, 2020. My name is Camille, and I was accepted into the Chicago School August 2016. I entered into this program with high hopes. The career change I was making from the financial administrative side of the healthcare industry to the therapeutic world would give me a sense of fulfillment in life, knowing that I would be entering into a field where people are not treated like numbers or just problems that need to be fixed like in the corporate world. I was both excited and nervous for the years to come in the educational process. Being the second person in my family, and that's no lie, to work towards earning not only her bachelor's degree, but now my master's, I embarked on this 3-year journey, knowing I would be making my family proud. Throughout my journey at the Chicago School, I was able to gather knowledge through my ongoing experiences with faculty, staff, and student peers while working a full-time job and maintaining professional and healthy friendships and relationships with everyone at the Chicago School. I've been able to successfully, with hard work and dedication, maintain a much-earned 4.0 GPA. Yes, you heard it, a 4.0. And trust me, plenty of people was not liking that. But anyways, throughout my program, I have had glowing reviews on my DISCA, which I had explained to you guys is basically the review system that the school implements for students for every level that they achieve in the program, and was never referred to receive any discipline or put on an academic improvement plan. Like when they fill out your DISCA, which is this evaluation, if you have very low scores, they'll put you on a improvement plan, which is like kind of interesting because when I was in my practicum, I was running I was one of the telehealth therapists, and a lot of the students that I worked with were students that were put on what they called a plan, which is an improvement plan, because it's like basically this is like your last thing before you get kicked out of the program. So the fact that I was a student that was helping students that were on these improvement plans, and then instead of even saying like, we're going to refer you to an improvement plan, no, they're like, we're just going to kick you out. I'm like, that's not that's not at all how this works. Okay. So moving forward, I put much of the feedback that I received from the Chicago School spoke about being able to see what a professional I was and what great potential I had in this field. Per Artifact 2, and let's just get to that. It's a reference letter from another professor, the one in, I think, 3 videos ago, where I talked about how unprofessional they were, and they had made a Bitmoji of me and basically wanted me to do some work for them so they can get a promotion. But this professor had wrote a recommendation letter, who is a full-time member and has worked with me closely during my time at the Chicago School, indicates that I've been an outstanding and trustworthy part of the Chicago School, who he had no issue referring me to any position in the field. So let's see what Artifact 2 was. And this is my referral letter that I had got from said professor. So it says, to whom it may concern, it is with great pleasure I recommend Camille for your organization. I've had the pleasure of working with Camille at the Chicago School. I have known Camille for 2 years as a student in courses related to counseling, ethics, assessment, treatment planning, and case management. Camille has distinguished herself as a professional in the educational and therapeutic setting. She has shown the ability to quickly grasp therapeutic techniques and theories and apply them when working with a diverse population of clients. Camille has successfully completed complex and difficult assignments and welcomes constructive feedback. Yes, you heard that. I have found her to be uniquely resourceful and adaptive. Camille is extremely well organized and detail-oriented in her approach to task, and her strong interpersonal and communication skills have been an attribute to our school. She has been able to forge relationships with her peers and faculty members. You heard that. Her consistent positive attitude and confidence has enabled her to interface with faculty, students, and administrators. Oh my God. And this was just dated October 4, 2019. So we're not talking about like months and years from this whole situation. Like this was only like 2 months. So I highly doubt that I just changed into this monstrous, unprofessional beast, but you know. Her consistent positive attitude, ooh, a little bit different than what Cowardly was saying. Her consistent positive attitude and confidence has enabled her to interface with faculty, students, and administrators. Camille has the knowledge, skill, insight, and professionalism to be a successful mental health counselor. She has a strong interest in working with marginalized communities and survivors of trauma. Camille has approached me several times to gain additional information and resources to aid in her educational experience to improve her overall knowledge of the field. I recommend without hesitation Camille for a position with your organization. She will be a wonderful asset to any organization that hires her. Beyond giving Camille a professional recommendation, I would like to share that I feel comfortable with her working with a multitude of clients. Please feel free to contact me. Does that sound like somebody that's unprofessional? Now, mind you, this is another faculty member. This is a professor, a full-time professor at this school. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what Artifact 2 was. I said it was only until Cowardly, according to my site supervisor, on December 1st, 2019, advised me that she was told by this school representative to go back into my DISCA to update her once glowing and positive scores of 3s and 4s, which are the highest you can achieve. Well, I think maybe, yeah, 4 is the highest, 3 is the second highest, like 1 through 4, basically. 1 is like, basically you probably need to get on a improvement plan and you're not meeting or exceeding or even close to the level you should be at. 4 is like you're meeting and exceeding and like you got this. So anyways, she was told to update her once glowing and positive scores of 3s and 4s to change them to 1s and 2s in order to put slanders and defamatory statements against me. I know that my DISCA had high marks because my site supervisor filled it out in my presence during one of our many meetings in her office. And then I put the Miller, while filling out her original DISCA, had only glowing things to say about me as a person and professional. Per Artifact 3, I'm about to read that artifact here in a minute, a text conversation dated December 23rd, 2019, which occurred between myself and the site supervisor, indicates the site supervisor was told by Cowardly to have her change my DISCA, aka my evaluation forms, and not sign off on any more of my hours, to which she obliged unethically and changed my DISCA despite representing to me how wonderful I am in her eyes. So let's get to Artifact 3. I love a good read out loud, y'all. Like, y'all have no idea. So this was a text message from my site supervisor. I said, hey, sorry, my screen was moving or wasn't moving while I was trying to move it. Anyways, I said, hey, I'm still finishing out this school stuff, hoping to be done soon. I might need to still get your access back into Vera. Now, Tavera is where you not only get your reviews completed, but where you do all your forms for practicum, internship. Like, it's basically a portal to upload everything you need to make sure you're on track to graduate throughout all your years in the program. It's not just for once you're towards the end. I said, do you remember what date Cowardly told you? Now, mind you, I didn't say Cowardly, but y'all know that's her name. What date Cowardly told you to add to my DISCA and not sign my hours log? I'm going to submit an IT ticket for the forms and I need the dates. So this internship supervisor said, I think 12/9, and I was like, thank you. Now keep in mind, I had submitted on 12/9 my formal complaint against this professor. So the fact that this site supervisor, according to her, now she's also been found to be a liar, two-faced, bipolar liar, that 12/9 was the same date I had filed a formal complaint against this professor. So when I tell you, when you guys are feeling like you're being done wrong by your school and you file complaints, just understand there's recourse and there's retaliation. I don't care what anybody says. You have to do what's best for you. There are some things you can suck down, and then there's other things you should not suck down. So this video or these series of videos is not to scare anybody from not being their own best advocate, but it's more so to like arm yourself, to prepare yourself to fight the battle, that if you feel like you're in the right, like stand up for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So per Artifact 3, a text conversation. So I went through all that. And so then I go on to say, let me see. On May 20th, 2019, I started my non-paid internship as per Artifact 4. That says, which negates the false representation that I was a paid intern at this center per the SAC referral, located on page 4, section 6 of the MOU, which is basically a contract, even though they try to say it wasn't. It's an addendum to a contract that has to go through legal. So an MOU is a mutual agreement, basically, between your school and the site, to say like what's the intent of the student being there and what are some of the things that the site expects from the student. So which indicates I was not, nor have I ever been an employee at my internship site, Suncoast, which received employee benefits such as paycheck, health benefits, Social Security, workers' compensation, etc. So I'm not going to pull up Artifact 4 because basically I just typed what Artifact 4 was. It was the agreement between my school and my site, stating like I was not paid, I wasn't receiving any benefits, no health care, no workers' comp, not, like I was a glorified volunteer, y'all. Like, come on. I was an unpaid trauma intern therapist, which according to the staff at my site and faculty member at the Chicago School is a challenging position, considering many of them venture away from working with such populations, given the amount of stress and overall emotional drain it can have on anyone, but especially a new therapist such as myself. Not only was I considered to be what my site supervisor called a full-time intern at this site, I was still maintaining part-time employment at my day job that I once was full-time at for over 3 years. So keep in mind, like, it's not like I didn't have a job or a career prior to entering into getting my master's. Like, a girl was living life, okay? I made many sacrifices to ensure I maintain a balance between my now reduced employee status at my long-term job as well as my new role as an intern. As shown in Artifact 5, and I'm going to pull that up, a reference letter from one of my supervisors at my day job, and put, and in Artifact 6, a reference letter from my site supervisor. I was succeeding at balancing my strenuous 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily schedule in a professional, outstanding way. Now, I want to back up for a second because I had got a reference letter from one of my managers at my day job. And then when I was trying to get reference letters, like I had got a reference letter from my site supervisor in, I believe, October or sometime before this all started popping off, because for our internship 2 class, like a part of one of our assignments was to get reference letters. So I don't want you guys to be like, why in October were you gathering all these reference letters? Like, it was a homework assignment. I mean, it benefited us, but at the same time, like, we had to provide these reference letters in order to get grades. So I don't want you guys to be like, oh, how convenient, but it was just like a twofold. So I remember I was going back and forth with my site supervisor to get a updated reference letter that included negating some of the things that were in the complaint. So I'm going to read Artifact 5 and Artifact 6, which Artifact 5 is one of my supervisors at my day job's reference letter, and then Artifact 6 is the reference letter that I had got prior to all of this coming from my site supervisor. And then once I read Artifact 6, I'm actually going to pull up a chain email with me going back and forth with my site supervisor, asking her for another reference letter because I needed to have a person that basically saw me almost every day since I started internship to negate all the falsities that were being said against me by who I thought at the time was only my professor at the school. But then I later found out that my site supervisor was a part of the problem too in creating these lies. And that's the reason why she didn't want to update my reference letter. So let me pull up artifact 5 so that, I can get that going. Now I have this all on a OneDrive. So when I pause to pull stuff up, it's me going into the OneDrive to pull each of these up. So this was from my day job reference letter that I received December 13th. And this was a person that was at my day job that's in a leadership position that was like a support system for what I was going through. So it says, to whom it may concern, Camille has been an employee under my supervision here at my job for the last 16 months. Like, this individual is newer to the company than I am. Camille is truly a pleasure to oversee. She works every assignment with integrity and maintains industry compliance standards while completing the task timely. She collaborates well with other employees of all position types on special projects. She demonstrates her character and integrity each working day by escalating issues, trends, education, opportunities for coworkers, assisting with new hire training as a subject matter expert, organizing charitable outings for our team. Yes, I stayed basically being the hostess with the mostest. Yeah, very much a team-oriented person. Like, I really like making sure everybody feels like you're at work so much. Like, let's just try and have fun. Outings for the team as well as holiday celebrations to keep the team's bond strong while giving back to the community and having fun. In Camille's efforts to complete her school program while maintaining quality metrics at her workplace, she has shown me how dedicated she is to her future career. She has worked harder than anyone I have come across in my 9 years in leadership within healthcare companies. She demonstrates a tenacity and dedication to one's calling that is simply undeniable. As much as it pains me to know we will one day be losing her to her future career in mental health, I would recommend Camille for any opportunity she has committed to, because I know that she will give 200% towards the opportunity with integrity. If I can be of further assistance, please reach out to me directly. So, like, in the moment when I was like all through my emotional stuff, like, I was literally like reading this in tears, because I was just like, when somebody's attacking you and then you are able to get references from other people that are in pivotal positions and they view you the way you view you, that like invalidates the negativity. It's like these two worlds that are colliding and you're in the middle. So it was a complete emotional breakdown. I remember reading this reference letter and I was just like bawling, because it's like it was validating who I already knew I was. Like, I'm not this unprofessional, hasty person. I'm a very caring person. I'm a non-confrontational person. Like, not that I have to prove myself to anybody, but when somebody just attacks you and pins your character of something that you're not at all, it's very debilitating, and you feel like you can't even express or explain yourself enough, because then you start looking guilty, because like, oh, well, if you're not that person, why are you being so defensive? Like, who wouldn't want to defend their character? Like, let's be real. When people say that, like, why are you so defensive? Because it's you, it's your personality, it's who you are, it's who you have to go to sleep with. Like, it's who you have to look in the mirror with. Like, of course, you know yourself better than anybody else. So when somebody completely negates who you are and who other people see you to be, it is a sense of just feeling defeated. So anyways, let me get to artifact 6, which is going to be the October letter from my site supervisor. This is artifact 6 coming at you. And so artifact 6, I opened artifact 7, which was just pictures of the people that I had internship with. Let me see if I can flip this, because So the people that I worked with in my internship site, I had hosted this huge Halloween party. Like, I'm a Halloween party person. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, like, of all holidays. And I invited so many people that I thought I had befriended from this internship site. Later to come find out, they were snakes. I mean, like, I know some people might be like, how can everybody be a snake? But I'm trying to tell you, when you're one of the few people of color in a predominantly white, female dominated field, it's very easy for one or two people to talk crap about you, and then everybody, because so many people are so weak-minded, stick with the people that are in the higher positions because they're trying to save their paycheck. So a lot of these people signed on to this BS because at the end of the day, they're looking out for their paycheck. Like, instead of even saying, like, I don't even want to be a part of this, it was like a lot of people were just like, oh yeah, yeah. Is very sad and pathetic, and those individuals should really feel disgusted with themselves because I was nothing but nice and gracious to them and invited them into my own personal living space, and they ate my food, laughed and joked with me, my friends, my mom. Like, it's just, when I think about it, it's like the most disgusting thing. I would never treat somebody like this. So anyways, so this reference letter is from my site supervisor, dated October 7, 2019. Like I told you guys, I was getting all my reference letters in October for a homework assignment. It says, regarding Camille, I'm very pleased to recommend Camille for a therapist/counselor position. I am currently Camille's internship site supervisor, where she is currently working with victims of physical and sexual abuse under our trauma services department. Camille is a valuable member of our team. She is reliable and hardworking. She makes quick rapport with clients and is always willing to go the extra mile if it means a client's needs will be met. Along with, and she didn't even proofread these, she put, along with his strong work ethic, it should be her because that's my pronoun. Camille is a pleasure to be around. She is a team player and works well with all levels of the agency. She has an excellent written and verbal communication skills and always completed paperwork within 24 hours of service. I can confidently recommend Camille for any therapist position. If you need any additional information or would like to discuss Camille's qualifications further, and then the site supervisor provided their contact information. So that was their October one. And before I get back into the referral letter, I'm going to actually, and I hope I can pull it up really quick, go into my personal email because I want you guys to really understand the person that I was dealing with, because I had messaged this individual in the middle of all of this going on, and I was like, I really need somebody that is going to, have my back. And here I was thinking this individual had my back. Well, yeah, not at all. Let me see. So I'm going to read some text and some emails and then get back to my SAC referral response. I'm not trying to be everywhere, but you guys really need to understand that when stuff like this happens, especially in a school environment, like, it's so important to be your own best advocate, and to make sure that you always are a professional student. And I'm not just talking about your conduct. I mean, like, you're your own mini business, right? You're operating your education, and you are the driving force between whether succeeding or not succeeding. And that means even if somebody's trying to take it away from you, like, you better fight. And that's exactly what I was doing. Like, I was not going to take this lying down, because when somebody accuses you of something that's so grossly incorrect, I mean, some people pick multiple things that they can do. They either, like, cower it down and just accept the fate that's handed to them, or they fight. And I was raised to be a fighter. So when I tell you I was not about to take this, they got the right one. Now, y'all know when a Black person says, oh, you got the right one today, yeah, you most definitely do not have the right one. You did not pick the right person to try your shenanigans with, because you're going to regret it. So I had texted the site supervisor and I said, hey, and this was on December 10th. This was the day that I got the referral, SAC referral letter. I said, hey, do you have a minute to talk? Site supervisor says, yes, exclamation point, call me. So then I called this individual and I'm like, I don't understand. My school is trying to kick me out. Meanwhile, she's like lying. At the point I didn't know she was lying. I really thought that she was being a genuine person. And she was like, oh my God, why is your school doing this to you? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. And she kept saying, you should just go to, I forget the name of the school. She kept saying, you should just go to this other school. And I'm like, why would I go to another school? Like, I completed the program. Like, this all happened my last week of the program, not just of the semester, the program. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I said, now at the time I knew that the school was trying to come after a few other students for various things. So at that point I was telling her, I was like, listen, I'm not the only student that's being questioned about things. Like, at the point, I knew it was a serious matter, but I was like, is this just what they do to students at the end of this program? Like, this is insane. So I kept telling her, I'm like, this isn't me. This isn't something I personally did. Like, I don't know why this school's doing this. At the time, on December 10th, I did not have the SAC referral letter that encompassed what the complaints were. That didn't come, like I said, until January 3rd. So I didn't have any knowledge of what really was swirling around me and what was being said while I wasn't around. And so on December 11th, I text the site supervisor again and I said, hey, I'm needing a letter / email stating all of my hours, both billable and non-billable, are counted as hours at the site. She responds back and says, I'll try to look into that today. I said, thank you. Apparently there was something said where I did not, in fact, have any hours outside of the billable ones you provided. That is causing an adverse response because a part of one of the complaints was stating that the hours that I recorded that I did were not the same as what the hours that my site recorded. Like, they were trying to say I recorded less hours that I was at my site than what the site had me at, which I was like, why would I do that? That would be of no benefit to me. I would think that most students, if they were going to like cheat the system, would say that they did way more hours than they actually did. But like, this school's so stupid that they didn't even realize like a lot of my hours included my clinical noting. It included, first of all, and my hours were correct. So let's go there. Included anytime I was doing any type of shadowing, training, case notes, the billable hours. First of all, the school tried to twist it and make it seem like billable hours meant that those were hours I was getting paid because I was billing clients. No, that's literally the terminology that is used in the field to indicate that you saw a client, whether it's a paying client or not. Like, I was not getting any payment from clients, and that was never ever a thing. And the billable basically spoke to like, if the patient was in a trauma program, it would get billed under the grant that the internship had. Or if they weren't a trauma client, the billable hour would get billed under whatever insurance that they had that allowed them to see an intern instead of seeing like a licensed or a master's level therapist. So that's what billable hour was. It wasn't, oh, Camille billed the client and got paid. Like, that was not a thing. But the school, in order to fit their negative narrative about me, tried to make it seem like that's what that meant, even though they all claim they've been in this field for several years and they know that's what it's called. But in order to make their case relevant, they had to twist and turn even basic words like that. She then texted me on December 12th and said, because I was like, oh, can you write me a reference letter, like an updated reference letter? Basically, I wanted a reference letter to kind of negate the lies that the school was launching against me from who I only thought came from this professor, Cowardly. Meanwhile, this individual was saying it against me, and she puts a laughy emoji, like talking about, what do you needed to say? I'm sort of asking you to write it, and it's an emoji that's like the laughing one that's like And so I said, I'll write it and you can sign it, which is not uncommon because some people in the field will be like, I'm too busy. Can you write it? If I need to adjust it or edit it, I'll do it and I'll sign it. Like, you know you shouldn't do that, but at the end of the day, like, it's not an uncommon practice. And so I said, I will write it and you can sign it. The school has stressed me out severely. And she's like, okay, I'm sorry you're going through this. But was she, when I found out that she was the one that precipitated a lot of this? People will lie directly to you. And it says, I said, I've been up all night in tears, which I was. I had zero sleep. She's like, no, and all the exclamation points. I'll do what I can within the scope of my role. I said, thank you. I'll need to get with my mentor at the school to see what the letter needs to say. December 13th, I said, hey, I'm emailing you the letter. I need you to sign on letterhead. The letter is specific enough to clear up any miscommunication on my hours with my school. I appreciate you helping me while my school tries to question my integrity. So let me see if I can find that email chain, because this email chain was very, very telling. It was telling because the whole time I thought this supervisor had my back, and that she was like, oh my God, I'm going to do whatever I can. Because she used to trash talk the school so much. She used to trash talk this specific professor so much, to the point where I didn't really engage with her about it. I was just kind of like, okay, like, I was more so on the, like, I'm just trying to get in and get out, and I really don't like drama, so I'm really not trying to engage in it, especially with being a new person into the field. Like, I just was kind of like, this is very weird, but I've never been an intern. I was unfamiliar with a lot of the dynamics, and unfortunately, because of my unfamiliarity of a lot of the situations I was put into, I walked in with rose-colored glasses thinking that everybody was just going to be very forthcoming and nice and upfront, and there wasn't going to be a lot of backstabbing. So obviously, like, I'm not new to the world, so that was just my own stupidity, because a girl was definitely tripping. Let me see. So, hold on. That was December 6th. So my site supervisor had sent me an email of what the cowardly professor had sent. So the cowardly professor had sent to my site supervisor on December 3rd and had said, thank you for sending me the information earlier today. I would like to follow up on the request for hours Camille has billed for. If you would be able to provide me documentation for the hours billed since August 26th, even if it is just a notation of how many hours per day, it would be appreciated. Now, mind you, when I talked to other students, this professor did not do any of this. Like, she was gunning for me, because me and her little butt buddy that I wasn't going to do stuff for to get him a promotion, they ain't like that. So they're like, oh, well, let's just gang up on this student. Like, it's so juvenile. I said, this information is needed to address the lack of hours input into our system with Camille. And if you're able to provide me some documentation concerning when she started co-facilitating the group and when she has been meeting with clients in the community, I would greatly appreciate it. So this professor tried to make it seem like I was just covertly running a group, which I had written an entire, like, oh my God, I think it was like 13-page document on a trauma group that I was running with another, well, I wasn't running, but I was co-facilitating with another master's level therapist that was working at the site, to which I had already had a conversation on a Zoom meeting with the professor to discuss that, which I had got a freaking 100% on this project. So the fact that this professor was trying to make it seem like I was doing something covert and wrong, I'm like, how did I get a freaking 100% on this when a lot of people actually got like B's and C's, and I got a freaking A? But please tell me on how I'm running a group that you had no knowledge of that was going against the school's regulations, which they weren't. And so the site supervisor said it looks like she had billed 128.8 face-to-face hours, which is just billable hours. That doesn't include everything else you do at the site. The 135.42 hours of transportation refers to her travel time with the community client, which the internship one supervisor had given me permission and said, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. No big deal. Like, have fun. Like, he was very like 70s, I don't really care, I'm just getting a paycheck type professor, which later I found out screwed me over. The group started October 28 and they have met 5 times. My therapist, which is the other one that I was co-facilitating, runs this group, but Camille has assisted with group discussions and planning topics. So notice how there's nothing in there that says that I solely was running the group, I created the group or anything. And so let me pull up the reference letter that I had wrote. Now, mind you, in the text, remember, she was like, oh, write the letter and I'll just sign it, he, and, you know, a little fake ass emoji. So this was the one that I had wrote that I wanted her to put on letterhead and sign per her own instructions. She told me to write whatever I needed in order to make my school like get off my back and whatever actions they were trying to like create against me, that this letter was supposed to help negate that. Because when I talked to my support professor, she was like, if your site supervisor writes a recommendation letter that negates a lot of what the department is trying to accuse you of, like, this should go away. It doesn't mean you won't still have a hearing, but it should make it easier to fight against whatever the complaints are. So this is what I wrote, and I put, to whom it may concern, I am writing this letter to clear up any miscommunication that may have occurred between the site and the university. Camille was an intern May 2019 until December 2019. Since her time at the site, she has proven to me as her site supervisor to be a professional and ethical future therapist. She was met with challenging tasks and hard client caseloads throughout her time here, and she has been able to meet and exceed expectations. As her site supervisor, I felt that she took on many challenges that were presented to her with a positive attitude. Throughout Camille's internship, she has shadowed and worked closely with other therapists while completing intake sessions, group sessions, and individual therapy sessions. Not all hours internship students complete at our site are hours that fall under our billable hours, although they could still be considered hours working directly with a client. The hours that interns complete at the site will not match up with our billable hours due to the very nature of all tasks interns are expected to do while working directly and indirectly with clients, because there was a lot of work that I did that was indirectly, which is normal. I have reviewed Camille's hours and have gone over cases with her during our weekly supervision to ensure the accuracy of her completed hours and caseload tasks while at the site. I have also, throughout our time working together, made sure that she is doing her site-related tasks as needed per the standard set at the site. When I'm not present to monitor Camille at the site and monitor her hours, other trusted licensed therapists were at the site to support and guide her when needed, which is true. Which she called the LASTAD, which is the licensed supervisor on duty or something, I forget. But it says, because of the level of trust I have in Camille, I presented her with the opportunity to work with clients in multiple capacities. Under my guidance and approval, she has shown to be a strong future therapist, and she was entrusted to see a client in the community, which she has made a positive impact on. Sorry, guys, I don't know why my nose. I feel like I have a cat, and I feel like his cat hair went on my nose for some reason. I understand the university had questions related to Camille having one client in the community. Since working here, she was never in the home of the client, but was in a conference room with the client, a client's adult assisted living facility with my approval. Based on my reflection of Camille's time here, I believe she has truly made a positive impact on many of the clients and therapists. I would recommend Camille as a person I would rehire at this site. So, to me, that was all that I needed to really be like, listen, this negates whatever they're trying to say. So then, let me see. So then she sends Um, Hold on, I'm trying to pull. Girl, listen, y'all know I come with receipts. So I had put, hey, site supervisor, I said, I've attached the letter we spoke about yesterday. If you could please sign and scan it back to me on letterhead, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your help. Um, this the site supervisor then responds back, which I thought was really shady and weird. And I was just kind of like, it gave me a really bad vibe. She responds back and says, this is longer than I imagined. Let me get, and she says the name of her supervisor's opinion. And I'm like, that wasn't really that long, and it's not like there was anything that was embellishing or not being truthful about my time at the site, unless you read it and it negates the lies that you told against me. So I was like, I wanted the letter to cover my time at the site as a whole, and I asked if her site or her supervisor was in today, and she's like, all she responded back was like later in the afternoon that same day and said, here is a letter reporting the hours you billed for at your site, which was like, when I tell you guys, it was like, these are the hours, like y'all heard what the reference letter I wrote up that she said she would sign, like no problem. She literally took out everything I wrote and only put, these are the hours that Camille worked. These are the dates that Camille worked, and then sent it and signed it. Like, that's how short it was. That's not a freaking reference letter. So I responded back and I said, I'm just trying to get some clarification, because already I was like, oh, she's on some bullshit. Like, there's more to this SAC referral than just this professor. This was the first time I really was like, there's got to be more to what's going on than just this professor. Like, there's more people that are involved, and I have a crazy suspicion that my site supervisor is a part of the bullshit too. And I just got like this sinking feeling, because I was so busy during people referring me to the SAC committee, telling everybody in my department for the school, oh, my site supervisor, she's going to negate everything y'all say, because like, this is all the professor trying to come after me. My site supervisor, like, we're super close. Y'all, I was out in these streets looking a damn fool. I was out here saying this site supervisor had my back 100. Meanwhile, chick had a freaking knife just grilled up in my back, and I didn't feel the effects of it yet. I had no idea. When I tell you, this individual had hugged me, and I had felt like I had a close relationship with this site supervisor, y'all, I'm trying to let you know, do not trust anybody. Nobody. Shit, don't even trust your shadow. Okay? Like, this is insane. So I said, I'm just trying to get some clarification on why the information in the letter drafted was not used. My school is needing a letter that addresses all the major points of my professionalism and character while being an intern at Suncoast. Per our conversation, you and I both talked about internship hours not showing all points of contact with the client and site-related tasks. Also, most nights I stayed until 7, but stopped seeing clients at 6 so I could do case notes, because the case notes were due. Turnaround time was 24 hours. So like, if I was seeing clients from 2 o'clock all the way until 6 o'clock, and the site closed at 7, that didn't give me enough time to do my case notes, because unlike the other therapists that worked, 40 hours, I had worked 27 hours, but I was like back to back to back. And I'm like, especially on intake days, I needed time to like get my case notes together. Or like, I was an intern, like, let's be real, I wasn't a full-time staff member. And then she tried to write a letter trying to make it seem like I wasn't even staying till 7. And I'm like, no, I stopped seeing clients at 6 so I could do my case notes until the building closed at 7. And I would leave with the other therapist. And most of the time she didn't work at night, except for I believe on Fridays, where sometimes I would leave early on Fridays, but I would definitely just update that in my hours accounted that I only work from this time to this time. Like, I had no reason to fabricate my hours, first of all, y'all. Like, I was already there. Okay. And why would I fabricate them on the side of not recording my hours? Like, it just, I said, can you please add the needed information as this is jeopardizing me being in the program now? And I was like, thanks, whatever. And so meanwhile, on the phone, this individual was like, oh my God, I have your back. Like, I feel so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. But then when it came to putting stuff pen to paper, now that's how you know if somebody really has your back. If they talk on the phone and you're like, oh, great, blah, can you put pen to paper? And then they start backing out or making excuses, you know that person is talking trash behind your back. So the fact that she was making every excuse and being very like wishy-washy and just kind of like giving me that like Heisman, like, I knew something had to be up. I knew something was up, and I knew she was a part of the problem just off of this interaction, this email chain. I was not feeling her ass at all after this. She's like, so her response was an hour later, I can add that you worked until 7. No issue there. You are completely correct. I have walked out at 7 p.m. with you on a few Fridays. For your reference, here is a screenshot of your hours. So then I said, thank you for addressing the point on clarifying my time at 7 p.m. Can you please speak to my character in the letter as that is also needed? So all she put was, I can add that you worked until 7. No issue there. You're complete. Oh, I already read that. Let me see. And then all she gave was this letter that said, Camille was a trauma intern at Suncoast from May 2019 to December 2019. Her regular schedule began at 1:30 and ended most nights at 6 p.m. during her internship. Camille billed 217.75 hours of face-to-face services. Now, mind you, that doesn't include, like I was saying, everything else that you have to do. I said, okay, well, let me know if there needs to be an edit. Hold on, no, hold on. I'm trying to pull up any attachments. Because as you guys know, with email, I'm trying to do show quoted text for everything. Sorry guys, but when somebody's coming for your character, if you're a fighter, you're not going to take it. Let me see. So that was the end of that chain. Actually, it started another chain. Well, she started another chain. I said, hi, thank you for sending me the updated letter. I also need you to sign off in Tavera, which was the documentation platform that I was talking about, where it has my hours and my reviews and stuff like that. I said the form is the approval for all internship hours. And then she responds back and she goes, this is the best I can do. Like, she didn't even address the fact that I needed her to sign off on stuff. She was like, this is just the best that I can do, which basically was like her saying, I'm not going to sign off on any more of your hours, which coincide with when I was at the internship site, where she said that this particular professor told her to stop signing off on my hours because she didn't believe that my hours were accurate, which is like bullshit. And I really think schools, this is what I think. I think for anybody that does an internship, that your hours need to be counted. You should be able to clock in and out like any other job, because that would eliminate this type of BS. I'm trying to tell y'all, because it's a he said, she said, and a lot of students did not have any type of billable, non-billable hours. A lot of them were like receptionists or daycare workers and stuff like that. Like, they were not at real sites being a real therapist, okay? So the fact that I was at a real site actually working with my own caseload, it was like I was being penalized because of it. Let me see. So, I said, so, okay, let me go back to the text from this individual. So on December 17th, because I was back and forth with my support professor, and I was like, I can't believe this site supervisor is lying on me. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So she was like, try and play nice to see what else you can get from her to have her be on your side, because clearly she's a person that's not loyal to anybody, which is very clear. So I said, hey, this was December 17th. I said, hey, it's so weird not being in the office. How's it going? She replies back, it's been quiet on the hall, but we have all been so busy. We miss your spunk. So I thought, like, okay, that's really weird. What are you talking about so quiet? Like it's, I wouldn't say it's like a quiet office, because you work with the community and the population around it. So there's always moving parts, and there's a lot of commotion all the time. And I'm not, if anybody ever like met me, I'm not a loud person at all. I'm very much a conservative person to myself. So I was just kind of like, it's not loud anymore. I was like, okay, that's weird. Like in the moment when I was reading it, I kind of felt the type of way, but I was like, okay, I don't even know what that means. So I need to maybe not even feel a type of way about this. So what ended up happening is I said, I miss you guys too. I just looked at my office stuff in storage while getting Christmas stuff. I wish I could come back. And to which they responded, oh, it's really very quiet around work now. And I was like, okay. And then they respond, I meant to tell you my access to Tavera was revoked / no longer. And I said, hey, what were you trying to sign or do in there? I can either send it to you via email or reach out to our IT. They said, you have a timesheet waiting for my approval. Would cowardly revoke my privilege. Now, mind you, she didn't talk so much shit about this specific professor that, like, even that was shady. Like, will she revoke my privilege, and all these question marks, which basically speaks to how she felt about this individual. I said, they told us the school shuts off access at the end of the semester for supervisors. The only thing I can do is print the PDF from Tavera for you to physically sign and email back. She responds, do they need me to complete? You earned the hours, ... Now that was like the biggest thing. I remember being on the phone with my friend, and I like screamed. I was like, oh my God. Like, she admitted that I earned the hours, because the biggest thing at the time was the school trying to act like I didn't earn the hours. Now here at the time, I thought they were trying to say that the hours that I put were over exaggerating my hours. Like I put down more hours and I really didn't work those hours, but really they were trying to say that I didn't put down all the hours that I worked. So in the moment I was like, yes, I got this. I was like, that's right. I earned every hour. And she's like, you earn the hours, ... I said, yes, I will send it to you. I will send it to you in an email when I get home. Thank you. And she's like, please do. So I end up sending her the forms. She ends up signing them. And so then the text goes, I said, hey, I'm still finishing out this school stuff. This was December 23rd. Now, mind you, if somebody's complained against you, like you're not a good worker, why would you supposedly after you fired them, which you didn't, because I actually reached out to HR from my internship site and got proof that I was never fired from my site. Like, yeah, no, that never happened. I stopped working at my site because I no longer needed hours. It says, I said, hey, Susan, I'm still finishing out this school stuff, hoping to be done soon. I might need to still get your access back into Tavera. Do you remember what date cowardly told you to add, add to my DISCA and not sign my hours log? Because I was trying to get all my receipts together to write this SAC referral. I'm going to submit an IT ticket for the forms and I need the days. And then she responds, I think 12/9. And I said, thank you. So back to the SAC referral. I said, while at Suncoast, I had a very heavy caseload as an individual therapist working with women, men, and children who were survivors of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and domestic violence. During my time at the site, I was able to truly develop my skill set, which was needed to help work with such sensitive caseloads. Throughout my time there, I leaned on people at my site who I thought were trusted individuals who would be able to help guide me and nurture me as I work through cases that even seasoned therapists said they had a hard time processing. I believe that I had developed a great relationship with my site supervisor, who told me she had been in the field as a site supervisor for more than 6 years. I went to my site supervisor in confidence, both within the site supervision time and outside of the supervision time, per her, as she stated, quote unquote, open door policy at the site, and used her as a person to help lead me along this new journey. While completing my internship, I was able to develop outside friendships with many of the therapists, which they were invited to my home and personal holiday parties as per Artifact 5, which was just pictures of other therapists that I had invited into my own personal home for a holiday party, which negates the false allegation presented in my DISCA by my site supervisor, that I was venting to my peers about my personal stressors, which they couldn't really say anything. Excuse me, I just get some water, about my personal life, because everything I talked to them about was either related to my clients' caseloads or about my school stuff, which was not personal. It was school, which was why I was there in the first place. Like, get out of here. So I don't even like bad juju people. Like, I'm about to spray some air stuff because, like, this shit. Okay. It says, but rather I was speaking with friends who relate stressors to me as we leaned on one another to face both personal and professional stresses while working with such a sensitive population. Because a lot of the conversations I would have with the other therapists, which were all young therapists, was more so about our caseload and how we might have connected or disconnected with our clients based on just our own personal levels and interest of their case or our own personal experience in life. Like, it was nothing that was like, let's sit down and have our own like one-on-one therapy sessions. Like, none of that. Like, I would never pick any of them to be my therapist ever. I said, I've never in my entire time at this site said anything in a yelling and or shouting tone to anyone at this site or any place of business per the negative perception via the site supervisor in my altered DISCA under the direction of cowardly per the site supervisor, refer back to Artifact 3. In fact, my site supervisor per Artifact 8 put in my final intern review at Sun place myself and the director at this internship site, I was not a problematic intern. In Artifact 9, an email from the HR director reviewed my file and states that I left the site in good standing. In regards, because the updated review, DISCA review, my site supervisor had put in there that I was like yelling up and down the hallway. Like, it was, everything she put in there was the stereotype that you would assign to an angry Black woman, which anybody that knows me knows that that is not at all who I am as a person. So it was just like, when you know somebody is racist and lying against you, they're going to pull stereotypical norms against you in order to prove a case. And because society is so used to those stereotypical norms being accepted, people are not going to negate it. They're not going to question it. They're just going to take it as fact, because they're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, that's probably true. That's probably what happened, even though there was no proof or basis for any of it. I mean, like, I'm not one of the clients. I have no reason to yell up and down a hallway. Like, I was just like, yell up and down the hallway about what? Like, most of the time I was in my own office or I was in another therapist's office and we were discussing cases. Like, I'm not a loud person. Now, they had another Black female therapist and she was not a yeller, but she is a very boisterous person. And I'm like, oh, so is this the case that we all just look the same? Meanwhile, me and this woman look absolutely nothing alike, sound nothing alike. We're like 2 to 3 decades difference in age. Like, yeah. Anyways, I said, in regards to the SAC referral complaint against me directed at wanting to obtain 1,000 hours at all costs, including committing intentional fraudulency activity and misrepresentation at my site, this information has been grossly misrepresented by the site supervisor, by cowardly Confedero, and the TRW little pick-me. From the time I started this program, the school faculty and my advisor, Confedero, always stated it is my responsibility as a student to know what my state requirements were in order to obtain licensure in the future. Up until November 6, 2019, during my university supervision, Cowardly and other internship 2 students, I learned about a change in not needing to obtain 1,000 hours for my state licensure. This information was only presented to me when, at the end of the supervision on November 6, 2019, I asked Dr. Cowardly, take off doctor, just Cowardly, how do I go about requesting an IP, which is basically an extension for my additional hours? Cowardly, in a laissez-faire way, told me she found out via another student who was not present in the session at the time, found information on a blog. Yeah, y'all heard me right. She located about Florida's required licensure hours. Per Artifact 10, dated October 17, 2019, Cowardly had already been made aware of other changes, and I actually had read Artifact 10 about 2 videos ago where it was just a screenshot that another student sent me that this professor had already told her all the way in October about the change in the expectation for licensure hours, but never decided to tell me. Okay. Had already been made aware of the changes in understanding the verbiage on the Florida Board website when she had dialogue with the student peer in my CM 619 course, to which she only notified me of this information on November 6, 2019, after I inquired about how to file an IP, which is just basically an extension. Cowardly and Confedero failed to ever on their own inform me of this newly updated information of the Florida Board requirements, despite knowing almost a month prior to me requesting guidance of how to file for an IP. After my supervision ended at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I once again initiated seeking clarification via a meeting request sent in an email located in Artifact 11. So let's go to Artifact 11. And let's just pull that up. Now, I know this is a long video, but like I'm really tired of dragging this crap out for you guys. So feel free to continue to watching in sections, whatever, but you're going to get the full story. And then I might do one more video where I'm just playing the recordings if I can find them at the SAC referral, and then going through kind of the process of that. I said, this is Artifact 11, where I reached out to Confedero, which, remember, is the advisor that had the dual hat of the clinical training coordinator or whatever. I said I was in supervision with Cowardly, and I'm hearing there's been an update for Florida students in the program. I was unaware of. I have several questions and concerns. What is your availability to meet? This is impacting multiple things right now. So that was Artifact 11 to my advisor / director of clinical training, stating some concerns I had and how this would affect my position at my site in taking the CPCE. In Artifact 12, I scheduled a meeting with Confedero for November 8th, 2019, to which she never showed up, which was not uncommon for her unprofessional ass. Since I was sick, I reached out to her to just have an email dialogue since I was sick and had no voice, which was very true. I got very sick in November and December, like very, very sick. But the school didn't care about that. On November 7th, while at my day job, I sent a text to my site supervisor requesting to speak with her prior to seeing my first client that afternoon. At 1:30 p.m. on November 7th, 2019, I spoke with my site supervisor, and stated that I would need to leave the site sooner than expected based on the newly relayed information to me in the previous day's supervision with Cowardly. My site supervisor became instantly angered and stated that if the school breaks the contract, then this will be the last time she would accept a student from the Chicago school. At this time, pulled Artifact 4, which was the MOU agreement, and pointed out that I am to be at my site for a year. My site supervisor at the time chastised the school and stated the school should have relayed the information to her, not the intern. While in my site supervisor's office, I was told to contact the board myself, to which she pulled the Florida board requirements and read aloud the part that indicates that I need 1,000 hours for licensure. I contacted the Florida board and spoke to a rep who also told me I needed the 1,000 hours and provided me with her direct phone number and extension to have a school representative call her for clarification. Per Artifact 13, I sent an email to my advisor / clinical director, Confedero, and dated November 8th, 2019, providing her with an update I received from the Florida board, which was contradictory of what I have been told on November 6th per Cowardly, yet it aligned with what I had been told in previous years of attending the school by the board and numerous faculty and staff. So they try to act like I came up with needing 1,000 hours out my ass when that's not at all the truth. It says, my site supervisor continued to speak negative about the school because I wanted them to see, like, this site supervisor was not only trash talking me to my school, but she was trash talking the school to me. So, like, this chick wasn't loyal to nobody. And I don't need somebody like that to be loyal to me. Trust and believe she's good on her own. And would frantically call and or text me asking if my school updated me on when I would be leaving the site. My site supervisor since November 7th repetitively stated my school is harming my chances at licensure and she is only looking out for my best interests. Lies. She was telling. Many incidents occurred where my site supervisor told other staff and therapists about my school not looking out for my best interests and being unprofessional, since nobody from the school had contacted her regarding the changes in status at the site. My site supervisor constantly pressured me to fight the school on needing to stay, given that there was another intern at the site who was attending a Florida-based K-Crep school and she needed the 1,000 hours. Therefore, my school was harming my future. This was what the site supervisor was telling me. So imagine me being the student in the middle and I'm like, okay. On November 12th, 2019, my site supervisor sent me an email on my internship site email that I no longer have access to since leaving the site, stated that she needed to hear from my school by Friday, November 15th, 2019. Per Artifact 14th, I sent an email to Cowardly dated November 12th, stating that deadline that my supervisor put on me about needing to hear from the school, since she stated nobody since November 7th had reached out to her. The email indicates my confusion on being in the middle and stating that based on the information I gathered from the Florida board and my site supervisor, I needed to collect 1,000 hours no matter what the accreditation is of the school. The email I sent to Cowardly once again requested a meeting with all parties to gain clarification on the same conference call, to which Cowardly did not agree to doing. According to Artifact 15, Cowardly stated she could not make a determination either which way, since there had been a variance in the information multiple individuals were receiving from the board. And the board's at fault for this too, because they're out of control, but it's a freaking call center. Instead, I was told by Cowardly it is the student's responsibility to follow up with their state requirements and follow what the board advises, which I was doing. In the SAC referral, it indicates that I, at sometime while being at my site, told a person at my site I would stop logging my hours in order to stay at the site in order to get my 1,000 hours without my school knowing, which of course is one of the people that was at the site who, when she came to my party, a lot of people from my work that were also my friends too, like, she rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Like, her attitude is very off-putting. So I'm not even surprised that she would make up a lie in order to align herself with the site supervisor, because she was just up under her butt so much that I'm not even surprised. And let's face it, like, when you're the only person of color in the midst of, like, people that don't look like you, don't have the same cultural norms as you, and you're the outlier, like, the chances of those people aligning with you instead of each other are, like, slim to none. I said, this is both untrue and grossly misrepresents me as a person, and the department has presented no evidence to speak to this being truthful outside of the falsities presented by the site supervisor as hearsay. In the SAC referral, Cowardly indicates that I stopped logging hours after November 14th in order to stay at my site longer laughable, which has no factual basis and would not benefit me to do so. Since I once again had no financial gain or any other benefit to stay at a site any longer than required, the truth is that during the month of November, starting November 15th through the 18th, I was traveling out of the state and I returned to the site November 19th. I was not at my site due to a month in advance vacation. Not that I was purposefully not trying to show up, because one of the complaints was saying that I was not showing up at all to my site because I was trying to stay at my site longer, which I'm like, can y'all really be this damn dumb? Why? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, who would just stop showing? That would be like, I just stopped showing up to work because I just want to stay at work longer. Like, make it make sense. That doesn't even make any sense. But okay, like, let's go off. I said, I was not at my site due to a month in advance vacation I scheduled out of state per the proof located in Artifact 16. And I supplied, because I keep receipts, my own travel itinerary that had my proof of travel, my confirmation printout sheet, and just everything. And I know a lot of people are like, I wouldn't be giving them nothing, but I'm telling you, when somebody's coming for you, like, I was gathering all the receipts to negate everything hardcore with facts. Like, I couldn't have just made up my travel itinerary that had my confirmation, my check-in times, like when you check in for your plane. Like, I cannot recreate that. So I said, this artifact has the dates of my travel via my Southwest travel itinerary, which negates the site supervisor's falsity stating I was purposefully not showing up to the site in order to not log hours. My site supervisor knew a month in advance of my travel, since she was the person who put in the therapist schedule request change and approval of my time off. This site supervisor lied to the school and said that I was not showing up, and she had no idea why. Meanwhile, she was the one, because I didn't know how to put in my time requesting, because I wasn't an employee, and like, it's not like it's PTO. Like, I gave this person a month in advance notice, which most students weren't even doing that when they were leaving. So I was just kind of like, why is she trying to make it seem like I was just not showing up, when I'm like, not only did you approve my time off, I mean, no, so she had to because I was intern, but you submitted my schedule change to the scheduler so that they blocked off time and they didn't schedule my clients. Okay. I said, she knew a month in advance of my travel, since she was the person who put in the therapist schedule request change and approval of my time off. In November, I was also sick and was not able, I was sick and was not at the site, to which I had tried to show up at the site despite not being able to go I was not able to go to my day job because of my sickness. My site supervisor sent me home, to which I stayed for 2 days trying to improve my health. So I got sick. Most of November, I wasn't even in that office because either I was traveling, I was sick, or, as I will continue to read, I had to take off time to prepare for my comps. In the beginning of November, I put in yet another therapist schedule request with my site supervisor, to which she approved to allow me time November 26th through the 27th to study and take the CPCE. In Artifact 17, you will see my Pearson scheduled CPCE confirmation indicating I was taking the test during the afternoon, November 27th at 12:15 p.m. Also, November 28th through the 29th, the site was closed for Thanksgiving. So it's like, basically, I wasn't at the site November 15th through the 18th, December 26th through the 27th, and there was also the week that was in between those two time periods where I was out sick. So, like, most of November, I wasn't there. It wasn't because I wasn't trying to go, because I wanted to stay at the site longer and just not log hours. Like, there were legitimate reasons. Meanwhile, keep in mind, prior to November, like before my life got even crazier, I was working on average at the site 27 hours, I believe, a week, somewhere around there, 24 to 27 hours a week. And then I was working like 30 hours at my day job. So I was working over 50 hours a week. A girl was tired. And my body was letting me know, like, I was shutting down. And so, given that my schedule since May 20th, 2019 which is when I started at the site, went down to part-time at my day job. Anytime I was not working at my day job, I was not working at my site. My schedule consisted of leaving my home every day at 6 a.m. and getting to work at 7 a.m. and working until 1, then driving to my site where I worked from 1:30 until 7 p.m. except for on university supervision days where I would leave at 6 p.m. I would then get home by 8 p.m. back to my home. I draw this map of my schedule to indicate how strenuous this schedule is and not one that I would want to, if not needed, to continue for any longer than necessary. In Artifact 18, you will see a screen print of my PTO I took off from my day job, which aligned with the same times I took off from my internship. I never went to one place of business without going to another during the work week. Because I was not a paid intern, like they were trying to say, like the false narrative represented in the SAC referral, I no longer had health benefits and was in fact losing money while working at the site. I had no reason to want to continue at a place where I was not making money, having to drive multiple cities, because in Florida, like, I was going over bridges. Like, I was in one day 3 different cities and they were disconnected by huge freaking bridges. So if anybody's ever even come to Florida just for vacation, and I live pretty close to like some major travel destination spots, traffic is insane and it's very dangerous. I say I had no reason to want to continue at a place where I was not making money, having to drive to multiple cities in dangerous Florida traffic and experience high levels of exhaustion. According to the SAC referral, I have been accused of purposefully not logging hours starting with Unit 9 based on the continuous false narrative that I wanted to stay at an unpaid internship, exerting strenuous amounts of stress induced energy. According to Artifact 19, I emailed the professor, cowardly, November 19th, 2019, requesting clarification on why I had a point taken off for university supervision, where she states I appeared distant, and also I refer to not understanding why I received a 0 on my 9 to 10 hours log. I was unaware that per this hours log that when I submitted my hours for the assignment, they did not show up in Tavera. When I asked the professor if I could try and resubmit for a grade, her reply, which is also located in Artifact 19, states that I could not receive any points since the assignment was not completed. Nowhere in this email does it give off directly or indirectly that I was trying not to log hours, but rather I thought I had submitted my hours in Tavera and was confused on where my submission went, because the Tavera program it's still so problematic that a lot of this stuff was disappearing. Like, one girl, all of her practicum hours when we were in internship too just disappeared, like gone. So like the fact that I was saying like one of my logs was completely missing and they were trying to act like we don't understand what you mean, like that's not a thing. I'm like, it really is. So I'm going to kind of stop the video right here because this is just going to go on and on and on. And I'll probably just pick back up in a third video. Well, this is like the 5th or 6th video, I guess, that will be coming, and kind of read the rest of the SAC referral. And then I will play, if I can find it, the recording. I know this video is super, super, super long. And daylight is escaping me, but like I said, I really want to get through these videos because I just am tired of thinking about it dragging out, and there's still so much more that needs to be done in order to make sure that I'm letting you guys know that this is a real situation. This isn't something that I'm making up just to have content on YouTube. And it's long and it's strenuous, and I would say that if you guys really want to know what happens and you're looking at this timestamp that's like over an hour and a half almost, and you're like, oh my God, this is so long. Like, at this point, you're already at this point in the video, but like, just break it up into sections and listen, because if you don't listen to all of it, you're going to miss out on some of the key points of what's going on. So Right now, I'm just going to end this video until I pick up for the next video. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I will see you guys in the next video in this installment of Crazy Town. Thanks, guys. Bye.